All right, Shalom family. This your brother Moray Tekoa Malachi, and we got a lesson here that we're going to do called "Can These Bones Live?" This is part one, based off Ezekiel 37. All right, so let's get into it. This is a very, very, very important chapter. It kind of detail our awakening and what the Most High have us doing and what's actually going on at this point as far as Israel waking up out of their graves and in the process of becoming one in unity. So this will be a two-part series. So we'll give you the information on part two pretty soon. We'll probably finish that up this week. All right. So let's start. Ezekiel 37 and 1. And the hand of Yah is upon me, and he had carried me out in the Ruach, or in the spirit of Yah, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones. So Ezekiel, first you got to have the Ruach to even have an experience like this. So the hand of Yah was upon him, and the Spirit took him in the Spirit to the midst of a valley which was full of dry bones. So this whole thing is speaking in giving a spiritual revelation of the nation of Israel, the state that they're in, and then the state where they'll be awakened to coming out of their graves. Let's look at it. Ezekiel 37 and 2. And he caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there was a very many in the open valley. And lo, they were very dry. He caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley. And lo, they were very dry. Let's keep going. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered him, Yah, only you know. So we know, we have read this, and we're talking about the children of Israel. And even to this point today, we're speaking the same thing. Because a lot of times it seems like, every advancement that we try to do, 2 steps forward, we're taking 3 steps back with division and dissension and different things that are going on. And we are the Most High asking us the same thing. Are we going to get distracted by what's going on in the surface and not realize that there's an awakening happen? So are we looking at this awakening? He's still asking us, can these bones live? So that question is to you. What part of the awakening are you going to walk in to make sure that Israel is resurrecting out of their graves and becoming back one? Verse 37 and 4. And again he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say to them, you dry bones, hear the word of Yah. So the only thing, watch this, the only thing that is going to awaken these dry bones is prophecy. Prophecy is the thing that's going to awaken the dry bones out of their graves. So what prophecy? The prophecies that are predicated to who they are as a people. The prophecies that are predicated that let them know their identity, know their culture, know their heritage. These are the things specifically that's going to align these people and awaken these people. Nothing else will. No other religion. Christianity won't do it. Islam won't do it. Buddhism won't do it. Hindu won't do it. The only thing that's going to really align these people and awaken them out of their graves is knowing who they are prophetically. That's why he said, prophesy to the bones. Speak to the bones. Declare what I have said to them from the beginning, because I have something in them that's going to unlock in their spirit when they hear those words. So this is why he is saying to Ezekiel, prophesy to the bones and say to the bones the things that the prophets have declared over the years are the things that are going to awaken them to their spirit. Nothing else. They have nothing else tied to their DNA spiritually. Their spiritual DNA will be awakened only by prophecy of their identity and their culture. That's why he didn't say reason with them. That's why he didn't say just send a book, but he said prophesy to them. He didn't say read an Egyptian hieroglyph to them. He ain't say go look at do some yoga and Hindu stuff to him. He said prophesy to him, because these prophecies is locked into their spiritual awakening. So the only thing that's going to awaken us is not philosophy. It's not just Christianity doctrine, not Islam book. What is that? Islam book, the Quran. The only thing that's going to resurrect this nation is prophecy according to the scriptures. This is why Mashiach said that I didn't come to destroy the law or the prophet, which is the prophecies that the prophet spoke. He said, I ain't come to destroy it, but I came to fill it to this full fulfillment, in the sense of bring it completion and understanding. That you may fully understand the full intention of what this law is about and what these prophecies are to. This is why his ministry was to the nation of Israel, to align them back up. And this is why he said salvation is of the Yahudim. And when you look that word of up, it said it's salvation's origin is with these people. So the origin of salvation is originated with the nation of Israel. This is why he said to the Samaritan woman that salvation originates, or will be coming forth from the Yahudim, or the children of Israel. So the only way that these people is going to wake up, he told him to prophesy to the bones. So doing these prophecies is something going to be unlocking and raising them from their graves. So that's why we can't get caught into other things. We must speak what the prophet spoke. Prophesy to them. Prophesy. Speak to the bone. Just tell them, just as I scattered them, I'm coming. I don't care if they're in the north, the south, the east, and west. Let them know their transgressions against me. Let them know the consequences that I prophesied that they would go to. And then give them the comfort of letting them know that I didn't leave them in those conditions. I won't leave them in those lands, that I'm coming. It don't matter if they in the highest height or the deepest depth or the highest mountain. I'm coming from the north, the south, the east, and the west to come and regather the nation of Israel, which is the last end time message of today. But you have to prophesy to the bones. That's the only thing that's going to waken him up. And this is why as he's prophesying, the prophecies will cause them to come out of Babylon. Because it would cause them to disassociate with the doctrine that they learned of Babylon. The prophecies, when I learned the prophecies, that's what it pulls you out of the doctrine of a Babylonian Roman system. That the only way that we're going to be able to see through deception is through prophecy. That's why it says we have what? A more sure word of prophecy, that we do well to take heed as light is shining in a dark place. Shining in a dark place. Shining in a dark place. What? Prophecy makes us come out of her. This is why he told Ezekiel, don't intellectualize it. Don't go into any of these other things. Prophesy to the bones. And watch what happens. Let's keep going. So y'all told Ezekiel to prophesy to the bones. And I did show that these bones are not just, they ain't physically dead, but they are spiritually dead. They're dead while they're walking. Well, we were like zombies in a sense. Dead in our sin, dead in our transgressions, and getting the consequences of the transgressions and wondering why these things are happening. But when we was breathed on with prophecy, when we heard prophecy, it sparked life in us. It awakened us. It showed us what was going on. It shined light into a dark place. Prophesy to the bones, family. Let's keep reading. Watch what it says. So let's prove and let's just show that this is talking about a spiritually dead people. A people that have no identity, no culture, no God, no heritage. It's a dead people walking. Because they have nothing to identify them to no creator. Because in ancient times, your culture identified what God that you, or what Elohim that you followed. So if you didn't have a culture, if you didn't have a language, if you didn't have your written laws written down, then you were dead to that world because you had no God that was speaking for you, that was responsible for you. So what? You're spiritually dead then. And not identifiable. And this is why it says that I would take the remembrance of you from the earth, because you are not identifiable with any God to identify with. Hosea 13:1. When Ephraim spoke trembling, and he exalted himself in Israel, but he offended in Baal, and he died. It's talking about the northern kingdom. Hosea 13:2. And now they sin more and more, and have made molten images of their silver and of their idols. Of their silver and of their idols, according to their own understanding, all in the works of craftsmen. They say of them, let the men that sacrifice kiss the calves. Hosea 13:3. Therefore they shall be in the morning. They shall be as the morning cloud, and as the early dew that passes away. As the shaft that is driven with the whirlwind, that's important, out of the floor, and there's smoke out of a chimney. All that is showing you that these things, all those things that it talks about, evaporates. So showing that these people it would be like they are disappearing. Just like a smoke, you see it at one point and then you can't see it no more. Like the morning dew, you see it at one point and you can't see it no more. The morning cloud, you see it at one point, then they all evaporate and what? Pass away. So it's a people that's walking, that's dead, that has evaporated. Let's keep going. Proverbs 21:16. That the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So when we wander out of the way of our law, the way of our Torah, the way of understanding, we are in the congregation of the dead. Isaiah 65. I have spread out my hands all day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in the way that was not good after their own thoughts. A people that provoke me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifice in gardens and burn up incense upon altars of brick, which remaineth among the what? Graves. They remain among the graves, because why? They are dead. And they lodge in monuments, they dead, which eats swine's flesh and brought the abominable things in their vessels, putting abominable things in their bodies. So let's go to verse 5, Ezekiel 37:5. Thus saith Yah unto the bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into them, and they shall live. But what's going to cause the breath to enter into them? What's going to cause that? I will cause the breath to enter into them, and they shall do what? They shall live. So it don't matter what it look like right now. Breath is entering into this nation as a whole. And the end goal is they shall live. Not they might live, but they shall live. That's why we can't get caught up in the dissensions, the disagreements, the crazies is now, because the Most High, he's going to weed out. And he said in the end, they shall live, because he's going to put his ruach in us. 37:6. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and ye shall know that I am Yah. 37. So what did he do? As he keep prophesying, that's why we got to keep these prophecies going. So as I prophesied, and as I was commanded, I prophesied. And as he began to prophesy, let's look at what happened. There was first a noise. So as he's prophesying, all the bones and stuff is cracking and coming up and waking up, and it sounds like a bunch of noise. Now look at that now. That's exactly where it seems like we might be now. It's waking up. It's a bunch of noise. The noise is not on one accord, but we still are awakening. It's awakening that's happening so fast, but right now, the first stage is a bunch of noise. Got people disagreeing on that, and people disagreeing on this, and people fussing about this, and people fussing about that. But the bottom line and the foundation of everything, we're still awakening to who we are. Even though we are fussing, so we're making a lot of noise in the first stage. And behold, a shaking. So as we're waking up and this noise bringing some dissension, some division in a sense, it said, behold, a shaking. So a shaking is going to happen also. And watch the shake. What's the shaking going to do? The shaking, the main way that the Most High get us to begin to depend on each other is through persecution. So it's a level of persecution that is happening or going to happen that's going to make us put away our differences. That's going to make us stop fussing about the name. Going to make us stop fussing about suffixes. Going to make us stop fussing about the way you doing that and the way you're not doing that, and you doing this wrong and you doing that wrong and you doing this wrong. It's going to make us throw all that aside and come together on the foundation of who we are. The noise, then the shaking. And what's going to happen after the shaking? And the bones came together. So what brought the bones together? The shaking brought the bones together. Bone to his bone. So that's showing such a level of unity that we're going to have. We're going to be joined at the hip. We're going to be locked in as brothers. Joined at the hip and locked in as brothers. No more debating and fussing about small matters. We're going to be so locked in unity. As the Spirit begins to fill us as a people, as these prophecies go through our DNA, flow through us, flow through our spiritual DNA, it's going to lock us in together. As the Most High begins to weed out rebels, we're going to be locked in, joined together, bone to bone. First noise, then shaking, then coming what? Unity. Coming unity is coming. That's why we don't get discouraged by what we see right now. Don't get discouraged by what we see right now, because the awakening is still happening. Verse 8, and when I behold, lo, the sinews and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was what? No breath in them. Look at that. All the fleshly carnal things coming upon them, where they reaching out to their identity, coming back to some of their cultural practices, but there was no breath in them, no spirit, because the spirit is what brings unity. So we are going to be entering into a stage where he put his spirit without measure upon us. That we're going to see him flowing through us like ain't never seen before. It ain't going to take no book to prove it no more. He's going to do something tangible in us to make this nation see who we are. Because before we leave here, they're going to know we're the children of the Most High. They're going to know that. So right now, don't get discouraged about what we seeing and divided and leaving, saying I don't want nothing to do with Israel no more. No, the Most High is still working. He's gathering together his people and bringing oneness in them. It's just going to take time. Let's keep reading. Ezekiel 37:9. Then he said, now watch this. He's finna say something different now. First he was saying prophesy to the bones. Now he finna say something different. He finna put his prophecy towards something else. And well, let's look at this. Then he said, prophesy unto the wind. Now wait a minute. We got to see what the wind, what you mean prophesy to the wind. What are you saying? First you were saying prophesy to the bones. Now you're saying prophesy to the wind. Now we know that the bones are the children, but what is the wind that you are directing the prophecies to? It says prophesy to the wind. Prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind. Now we prophesy and we're saying to the wind. Thus says Yah, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain that they may live. So the four winds, which represent what? The four corners, and breathe, which we was what? We were shipped and went into captivity into every nation, into the four corners of the earth. And he said to the four winds, and breathe upon the slain that they may live. So now let's see prophetically what the wind is. We have to go to Daniel chapter 7 to see the wind. Daniel chapter 7 verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and a vision of his head upon his bed. He wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Verse 2. Daniel spoke and said, watch this, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, what did he see? The four winds of heaven strove up on the great sea. So he's showing you a vision. He's showing you a vision of the four winds of heaven that strove up on the great sea. So these four winds is going to produce something. So the four winds, they strove up on the sea. Now verse 3, let's see what they produce. And the four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. So we see right here that the four winds strove up on the sea and produced four beasts that came out of the sea that was diverse from one another. So we're going to see why the Moses said, speak to the winds, because the winds have developed four beasts that strove out of the waters, that diverse from each other. But these first four beasts, let's read about them. And let's see why we speak into the wind that what formed these beasts, according to the vision, that we can keep up in biblical prophecy. Daniel 7 and 4. Make sure I'm on the right one. Yeah, Daniel 7 and 4. Let's read it. The first was like a lion and had eagle wings. I beheld till the winds thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made it to stand upon his feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Verse 5, and behold another beast, a second like a bear, and it raised up itself on one side and had three ribs in its mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise and devour much flesh. Daniel 6, and after this I beheld lo another, like a leopard, which had the back of the four wings of a fowl, and the beast had four heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw a night vision, and behold a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and they had great iron teeth, and it devoured and broke into pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that was before it, and it had 10 horns. But so this last beast was more diverse and treacherous than any of the beasts, and then it produced 10 horns that flowed out of that beast and became their own beast. And this is talking about what the four winds produce. So let's see prophetically what what nations are these four winds. So Daniel's vision of the four beasts. The first beast was the Babylonian Empire. Now we remember when the Most High told Israel when they break the covenant that he was going to bring another nation in. So we're looking at all the captivities that Israel went on. They went on a Babylonian captivity, which was the lion that was described in Daniel 7 and 4. Then the next captivity was the Medo-Persian Empire, which Daniel 7 and 5, which was the beast that was like a bear. Daniel 6 was the Greek Empire, which was the beast that was like a leopard with wings. And then Daniel 7 is the most terrible beast out of all of them. It's the Roman Empire that had 10 horns, which is these daughters of Rome that Rome have, that goes into, your Britain, America, your Portugal, all those nations there, those, I call them little Romes. So this is what the wind produced, because remember the nation of Israel was scattered to the wind to these beasts. Because the wind did what? It hovered over the water and it produced a kingdom of beasts out of the water. And then the nation of Israel were sent in these areas unto the four corners of the earth. And this is why Yah tells Ezekiel to prophesy to the wind. Prophesy to where my children are scattered. Prophesy to these kingdoms. Because I'm going to send my spirit while they're in these lands, in these nations. I told them that I wasn't going to leave them there. And I want the wind to give up my children. That's what he's saying. This is why he said, prophesy to the wind. Prophesy to the bones, and then prophesy to these nations of where my children are at. And tell them to give up my children. Because what? I'm going to send my spirit, breathing on them in these nations, and they are going to awaken and turn these nations upside down while they're in the midst of their captivity. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. When unity comes, there's nothing is going to be withheld from us. I hope that made sense. Let's prove what we're saying about the wind. Jeremiah 4:6. Set up the standard toward Zion and retire. Stay not, for I will bring evil upon from the north and a great destruction. Jeremiah 4:7. The lion, which was talking about Babylon, come up from its thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on its way. He has gone forth from its place to make thy land desolate. Israel, thy city shall be laid waste without an inhabitant. Verse 12. Even a full wind from those places shall come unto me. Now also I will give sentence against them. We're talking about the wind again. Jeremiah 4:13. Behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariot shall be as a whirlwind. His horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. This is talking about the whirlwind that these nations was coming in. Hosea 13:7. Therefore I will be unto them as lions, and as a leopard by the way will I observe them. Hosea 13:8. I will meet them as a bear. We talked about the lion, which was Babylon. I will meet them as a bear. We're talking about Persia now. That is bereaved of her whelps, and will rend the cowl of their heart. And I will devour them like a lion, and a wild beast shall I teeth them. So we see in this verse the leopard, we see the bear, and we see the lion. Let's keep going. So now let's go back. I look at it again. This is why he says, prophesy to the wind. Prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith Yah, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe on these slain, that they may live, even while they're scattered to the lands of their captivity. That the four winds, the prophecies is going to come to us in our area, and going to breathe on us and awaken us, and we're going to be coming out of our graves. Verse 37 and 10. So I prophesied as he commanded me. And what happened? Breath came into them, and they lived. Because when the signs of his breath coming into us, we're going to start seeing more and more unity coming together. Now we're going to see more accountability too. We're going to see more structure, and we're going to see more order, letting you know that his spirit is driving us towards something. And they live and stood up on their feet in an exceedingly great army. A great army, an army that's people that does stuff with one mind, under one spirit, under order, in unity. Then we can be called. It's prophesied that we're going to be called the army. So that time is coming. Don't let nobody tell you different. Don't be fooled by the noise you're hearing right now. All that's going to change. The Most High, he's going to weed out and bring in until he raises up that army that he's been speaking of. Let's keep reading. Ezekiel 37:11. Then he said unto me, son of man, these bones, now he's giving us revelation who they are. These bones are the Christian church. It didn't say that. These bones are Islam. It didn't say that. These bones are the Church of God of Christ. It didn't say that. These bones are the Seventh-day Adventists. It didn't say that. These bones are the Hindu believers. No, I didn't say that. These bones are Krishna. No, it didn't say that. Those are cisterns that can't hold water, which can't hold truth. It said these bones are the whole house of Israel, not just Judah, but the whole house, 12 tribes. Behold, they say, our bones are dried up, and our hope is lost, and we are cut off from our parts. Now, that's what we've been saying everywhere we've been scattered to. Saying our bones are dried up, our hope is lost, and we're cut off from our heritage, from our part, or from our promises. We've been cut off. Let's keep going. But what it says. Let's add that to it. Let's see how it's cut off. More to the wind. For they have sown to the wind, and they have reaped the whirlwind. It hath no stalk. The bud shall yield no ear, and it be so yield, the stranger shall swallow it up. Hosea 6:1. Come and let us return unto Yah, for he hath torn, and he will heal us. He has smitten, and he will bind us up. That's why we can't get aggravated, because he's coming. Hosea 6:2. After 2 days he revived us, and the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. That time is coming. Hosea 13:4. I will ransom them from the power of the... Now watch what this says here. Watch what this says right here. Let's read it slow. I will ransom them from the power of the grave. It didn't just say the grave, but the power of the grave. Because our grave is the land masses of where we've been scattered to. Because in those lands is where we died spiritually. So we're not only just in the land of our captivity, but we are in the land of our graves waiting to be resurrected. So the land of our graves is the places of our captivity where we died. Where we learned another culture, we learned another God, we learned everything that would take the remembrance of us from the earth. So those places of our captivities is our graveyard. He didn't just say he was going to ransom us from the grave. He's going to ransom us from the power of the grave. Because when these prophecies come, well, that's why I said prophesy to them. It's going to take the power of these nations, the deception that they have over us, it's going to destroy it. So the power, which is the deception that they have to keep us dead, is going to be dissolved. It said, but I will ransom them from the power of the grave, and I will redeem them from death, from where they died spiritually. You're going to be redeemed from death. O death, I will be thy plague. So the deceptions and all these things that killed us, the Most High said, I'm going to be your plague. When these people wake up, they going to bang on that doctrine. They coming. The thing that caused them to die, they coming for it. It's going to be like a plague against it. O death, I will be thy plagues. O grave, I will be thy destruction. So he said the death, and he's talking to a specific people now, or a specific land. Because remember, the graves are the places of captivity. So, O grave, O places of captivity, I will be your destruction. And repentance shall be hid from my eyes. You will have no place of repentance. Lands of my people grave. That's what he's speaking of right there. Grave, I will be your destruction. America, I will be your destruction. South America, I will be your destruction. West Africa, I'll be your destruction. Europe, Asia, Australia, or where all my people was at, I'm going to be your destruction. And repentance shall be hid from my eyes concerning the lands of my people graveyard. Boy, the Most High ain't playing right here, boy. He is not playing. We coming out of these graves. Let's keep reading. Ezekiel 37:12. Therefore, he keeps telling them prophesy. Prophesy and say to them, thus says Yah, behold my people, I will open up your graves. Which means, well, I'm going to open up your captivity, your graves, and cause you to come up out of your grave. I'm bringing you out of there. First, I got to bring you out spiritually. Then I'm going to bring you out naturally. I'm going to bring you, come up out of the graves and bring you into the land of Israel. Ezekiel 37 and first, but we had to go back to Israel in our mind first. Then we could be ready to go to the land. Ezekiel 37 and 13. This is why we're taking on the customs and the culture now, because we're getting Israel back on our landmass, which is our body, in our mind, in our ruah. Then we're going to be led to the land of Israel. Because the Most High cannot redeem a people that don't know who they are. You have to understand your identity for him to come and be able to come and redeem you. Because now you know what's owed to you. And now you know why what is happening is happening. Ezekiel 37 and 13. And ye shall know that I am Yah, when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves. Ezekiel 37 and 14. And ye shall put my spirit in you, ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then you shall know that I am Yah, and I have spoken it, and I performed it, thus saith Yah. So we know we have a Elohim, a Yah that doesn't lie. And if what happened to us, these curses, happened to us, how much more will these prophecies of these promises that he spoke by the prophets gonna have? That's why he said, I ain't seen, either ear has heard, either has it entered into the heart of men the things that he have prepared for us. So I'm looking for it. I can't wait. All right, we're almost done. This is a short lesson. It's a 2-part series. I actually do part 2 a little later because there's some other things that I wanted to break down. I didn't want to make this a real long video, but some other things that I wanted to break down concerning the northern and southern kingdom, and also break down some things about when it talks about David being the king, which really is talking about the loins of David, which would be Mashiach, which would be the king. Romans 11. So can we see where Romans 11 was precepting what it was said from? It's precepting from Ezekiel 37 and Hosea. Romans 11. I say then, have Yah cast away his people? Yah forbid. For I am also an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Have Yah has not cast away his people, which he foreknew. I say then, watch this, have they stumbled that they should fall? Yah forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation have come into the Gentiles to provoke them to jealousy. Now if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them be the riches of Gentiles, how much more their fullness? How much more their fullness? How much more they'll be when they come out their graves and I bring them back to the land? For I speak unto the Gentiles, insomuch I am an apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify my office. If by any means I may provoke you to immolations, them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. But if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be, but what? Life from the dead, a resurrection from the grave, spiritually. So family, I wanted to give you this understanding, this information, this revelation, to let you know, don't get discouraged of where we at. Don't get discouraged of what's going on, what you see before your eyes, because his spirit is still moving. And we're going from the point of noise to the point of a shaking, and then to the point of undeniable committed unity, in which we would say we are army. Walking in one step, with one mind, with one goal, with one heart. That time is coming. But I leave you with this. Can these bones live? Prophesy to the bones. Prophesy to the wind. Prophesy to the graves. Can these bones live? Tekoa Malachi, Moray, awaken, restore, prepare. Thank you so much for those also that have been partnered with the ministry. Thank you for more that are going to partner. We doing, or we're being led by the Ruach in everything that we do. Ask you to keep us in your prayers, and that the Most High keep directing us in the way, because we're followers of the way. Followers of the way. Love you, and shalom.